going on, YouTube? RDAP Dan here, Federal Prison Time Consulting, and hope you guys are all having an amazing Tuesday. We will give everybody a couple of minutes here to join us, but it is Tuesday and it is September 11th, so I hope everybody is giving their appreciation to especially those that are fighting for this country. What we went through in this country, something that we'll never get over, and all of the loved ones that people lost, people, whether they were in police, firefighters, anybody who's in any type of rescue situation that put themselves in that situation to try to save others. We lost a lot of people that day, so I hope everybody has taken a moment to appreciate those that do things that the rest of us aren't willing to do. Going to federal prison is a walk in the park compared to what people do for this country. And CJ's ex-Navy. He's put in his time, served our country, so everybody feel free to give CJ a nice thumbs up. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this video, subscribe to our channel, and if you haven't already done so, go ahead and text the word YouTube to 76626. That will put you on our notification list to make sure you don't miss any upcoming live events. Today we're talking about, as you can see, there's been a lot of information going on here with attorneys and whether or not they're doing everything that they can possibly do to put you in the best possible situation to serve the least amount of time. And CJ's reminded me, don't forget, there's a link. He just posted it in the room. Did you post it in the room, CJ?
I sure did.
Pigeonly, for all of your inmate needs, sending cheap phone calls. If you're trying to send content, pictures to your inmates, you can do it through Pigeonly. Save yourself quite a bit of money. Anyway, back to what we're talking about here. So, is your attorney assisting you in the shortest possible federal prison sentence? And the reason why we decided to do a video on this today is we received an email from a guy named Jacob. What day did we receive this? Like 2 or 3 days ago, received an email from a gentleman by the name of Jacob. And I'm actually just going to read this email here to you guys, and then we'll kind of talk about why this is an important topic. Dan, my name is Jacob. I've been watching your channel for just over a year now. I thought about calling you on several occasions for possible assistance. I was indicted 2016 on charges of wire fraud as well as falsifying tax documents for purpose of tax evasion. My mistake was asking my criminal defense lawyer what his thoughts were in regards to hiring a consultant. He was not at all for it. Basically, he explained there's absolutely nothing a prison consultant can do except maybe give me poor advice that could result in further problems. My attorney expressed his thoughts regarding someone assisting with letters, mentor groups, PSR prep as nothing more than a modern-day snake oil salesman. I do not know why I did not listen to my gut, but I decided to let him handle the situation. I did prepare my letters, and when I asked him for advice, he sent me a template that I later found online. I am sure my letters did very little, if anything at all, in order to help. I had more than 25 reference letters, which my lawyer explained was the perfect amount. I was asking him what I needed to do in order to prepare for my PSI interview. He said not to worry, that we would cover that when the time was right. I asked him about RDAP and received the same answer. Then, out of the blue, I received a call from him telling me my PSI is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I was very upset and asked him what I needed in order to prepare. His reply was, just be honest. I asked him again about RDAP, and he said that the BOP would determine if I qualify or not. He told me in a very aggravated tone that I was overthinking too much and just relax. My plea was for 60 months. There were 6 of us involved. 4 individuals received reduced sentences. Myself and 1 co-defendant both received the full 60 months. There is no mention of my drinking issues recorded in my PSI, as I did not disclose it out of fear of a harsher sentence. My surrender date is December 10th, 2018. I'm very upset about not going with my heart when I knew to hire you would have increased my opportunity. If there's anything that your team may be able to do at this point, I am at a very low point in my life right now and hoping there's something that can be done. Jacob. So this was an email from Jacob a couple days ago, and this is a very, very, very common type of an email. Not so much as an email as information that we hear, whether it's clients, people that might be a client, just viewers, that when we ask them if they're interested in the services, A lot of the times they'll tell us that their attorneys have completely not just advised them against it, but almost gave them a million reasons as to why they shouldn't hire a possible prison consultant. Now, I can understand where attorneys come from in a lot of the situations. There are a lot of people out there that claim to do things that they can't do, or they're charging exorbitant fees and doing next to nothing. Like maybe they're giving you some basic information about RDAP, which even in this situation, some basic information about qualifying for RDAP for Jacob would have been better than what he did, which was absolutely nothing. The wrong advice that his attorney gave him is he told him that qualifying for RDAP would be based at the BOP level. Now that is true. Technically, the BOP is going to be the one that approves or disapproves your entrance into the program, but it's based on what goes into your PSR, your PSI. If the information is not in there, then we already know the BOP is going to turn you away for RDAP because you have nothing in your PSI stating that you need the help. We also hear so often that I didn't disclose information due to fear of either, a longer sentence, or somehow it was going to cause me to get in more trouble, or it's going to make me look bad. It was affecting my ego, whatever it is. There's a million reasons why people do not disclose their substance abuse, whether it's drinking, alcohol, other types of drugs. And in some situations, you might even think that, well, I don't have a problem. Maybe you drink on a regular basis. Maybe you go out drinking on the weekends. Maybe you have a couple of cocktails every night, but you're still functioning in your day-to-day. Well, what happens when you're put into an environment where you can no longer do that to take the edge off? Or maybe you just smoke just a little bit of weed every day and you're like, well, I don't have a problem. It's not like I'm a heroin addict. Well, how are you going to function once you get into prison when you can no longer use these techniques to calm yourself or to regulate your situation? So I wouldn't be so quick to evaluate yourself. Allow a professional to possibly evaluate if you're having conflicting thoughts. Don't leave it up to yourself, because chances are you're not in any type of a situation or position to evaluate whether or not you have substance abuse issues or not. Other things, the fact that he kind of threw it up there as any advice that a prison consultant may give him is probably either going to be horrible advice or possibly get him in more trouble. The attorney did not do what the client was kind of expecting. The expectations were not met. So when somebody shares an email like this, and he did allow us to share his email, we did get confirmation to share his email on here. He was very open about wanting to possibly help others not go down the same road that he went down. We hire our attorneys. We feel like they're going to ride in on giant white horses and kind of slay everything, make everything better for us. And a lot of attorneys will do a lot of good work, but the average attorney's focus is on your plea agreement, making sure your documents are correct, making sure your points are all accurate, making sure your base offense level is correct. They should be doing additional things like making sure you have no open detainers, no open cases, making sure, you're proffering properly to make sure you don't give them anything that can hurt you further. So there is obviously a very, very valid reason for needing a federal attorney, especially when you're facing any type of a white collar type of a crime or a nonviolent first time offense where you've never been through a situation like this before. However, where the attorney failed was all of the work and preparation and the sentencing mitigation aspect that does go into personal narratives and character reference letters. I mean, he told you right there that when he did finally ask his attorney for some advice as what he should do in the letter, his attorney didn't give him any advice. He sent him a basic template that you can find on the internet absolutely for free, which is not prepared by somebody that's actually gone through the process. It's prepared by somebody that imagines what it would look like, and all of these templates look the same. It basically creates a glorified picture of who you are. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, or any other channel regarding prison, you'll know that painting yourself as a saint is not what needs to be done to create the impact that you're looking for. His attorney also told him that the 25 character reference letters that he had was the perfect amount. I think no matter how many character reference letters this client had, or this viewer had, whether he said I have 5 or have 155, the attorney would have gave the same answer as this is the perfect amount, because, he doesn't care at this point, right? At least that's what I got from this email. So character reference letters have a huge impact. If your character reference letters are completely out of line from your personal narrative, then the character reference letters can either offset or create conflict or contrast with what you're putting in your personal narrative. So if the same effort that's going into the personal narrative is not going into the character reference letters, and if you're not reading your references letters, you're doing yourself an injustice because you don't know necessarily what's in there. Just saying a bunch of really good things about you and saying how this isn't fair, that other people have done far worse crimes than what you've done and they got less time, painting a picture as you're the victim or you're being taken advantage of is not going to help you whatsoever. A prison consultant or an attorney, in my opinion, that has your best interest at heart is really focusing energy on the narrative as well as the reference letters. There needs to be cohesion between the two, and if there's a ton of contrast or conflict, you're going to probably create yourself for a poor outcome. And the amount of character reference letters, guys, if you're submitting more, in my opinion, and from the research that we've done and from the clients that we've seen tons of success from, if you are submitting more than 5 character reference letters, you're probably doing yourself another injustice because now the judge has got to read your narrative. Plus, if you're handing him, a bookload of character reference letters, he's going to read all of these reference letters. And the chances are the last couple of reference letters that he may read may be the tone that he goes with. He may not remember everything. We got to remember this judge has a job to do and he reads a ton of personal narratives, a ton of character reference letters, and we would like to believe that he reads every single thing that he gets or that she gets, but there's no way of knowing that. And if you know that for a fact, you're lying to yourself. So in my opinion, if you're sending the judge 3 or 4 character reference letters and plus your personal narrative, he's going to appreciate the fact that you didn't overwhelm him with 50 letters that are written in a million different directions to try to create a picture of who you are. That's part of what we do with our team, with Jenny, with CJ, with Angela, with everybody that's involved. We take your letters that you write initially based on, not a template, but based on direction we give you. We then take your letters and we'll go in and make edits, make modifications, but it's still your story. Our job is to pull information from you to get you to dig deep and understand what the tone is that should be sent off with these letters. Your PSR, preparing for your PSR. If your attorney's telling you it's no big deal, don't worry about that. We'll get to it when the time is right. The earlier you start preparing for your PSR interview, 100% you are influencing a much better outcome than what you would be looking at if you wait till the last minute. Now, Jacob didn't intend to wait till the last minute. He had been asking his attorney when we are going to do this, and his attorney said, we will do it when the time is right. And then the attorney called him and said, tomorrow's your PSR interview. And when he finally said, well, what do we need to do to prepare? Be honest. Okay, obviously you're going to be honest in your pre-sentence investigation. Never lie. That goes without saying. But what are you supposed to do above and beyond that? What type of information is good information to include in your PSR? And more than what you say, how you say it can carry a lot more weight than what you're actually saying. So how it's prepared, if you're walking in, are you walking in there with a full package prepared to hand to the PSR, the probation officer conducting the PSR, or are you just kind of going in there with nothing? You have no papers in your hand, you don't have your personal narrative, you have no documents prepared, you just kind of walk in there going, well, I have an appointment, I'm here, now what? This isn't some basic job interview. This is your life. You are the one that's possibly going to prison, not me, not the attorney, not the prosecutor, you. So you have to be willing to put more effort and work harder on your situation by doing research and understanding what potentially could help you create a positive outcome. If you walk in there empty-handed, you look like every other Tom, Dick, and Harry that's gone in front of that probation officer in the last however many years, and there's nothing different about you. You are a faceless person that he's seen a million times. If you want to create influence and you want to see a change in the possible outcome, show them something different that they haven't seen before. Your personal narrative should be way different from any narrative that judge is used to reading. Your character reference letters should be an accountability factor in there where the character references, whoever's writing your reference, is holding you accountable for turning them into victims of your crime. If you're taking a plea and you know that you're trying to minimize your casualty by not going to trial and getting slammed and faced with, sometimes 10 times more than what you may be looking at if you took a plea. If you're taking that plea, you swallowed the pill, you're admitting to doing what they said you did. And at this point, what goes into your personal narrative and character reference letters is extremely important. For an attorney to say that mentor groups, community service, coaching, For them to say that this stuff does not have any influence is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. The only thing that they could say is, I can't promise you that this is going to influence the judge, but it's sure as hell not going to make things worse for you. And the opportunity for influence is there. We've seen it how many times with some of our clients receiving probated sentences or highly reduced sentences based on the effort that they put in off of a game plan that we created for them. I'm telling you, these are things that I wish that I had done when I was going through this. And I didn't, not because I didn't want to. I didn't know a lot of this existed. My attorney didn't know a lot of this existed. I honestly believe that my attorney would have been for a lot of these things just because he's a very free-thinking individual. Both of the attorneys that I had are very free-thinking individuals, and they are not against trying new things. From my experience, what I've seen is a lot of attorneys do not like to try new things that have been untested in their arena because they're afraid it's going to come back on them, and they don't want to look bad, basically, in front of you. They don't want you to be able to come back and say this is your fault. Meanwhile, the lack of preparation from your attorney and guidance creates the same outcome that they're trying to avoid. That's why you see so many ineffective counsel, like the 2255s that a lot of people file once they get to prison, saying they have ineffective counsel, that their counsel didn't do things that they felt they should have done. And it comes down to a lot of this information that attorneys just don't spend time on. Properly preparing for RDAP, properly preparing for the PSR interview, having your personal narratives, your character reference letters, building a strong mentor group, involving yourself in our coaching program with Coach Jenny. All of this can have a tremendous impact on the outcome. And there's one of two people. There's nobody out there that goes, nah, that doesn't sound like it would work. I don't believe there's one person watching this video that thinks, that would never work. I do believe that there's people going, is it really going to make that much of a difference? Is it worth paying money for? Or should I just close my eyes and pretend and hope that my attorney is going to go above and beyond and do all of these things that I'm not doing? It's a very hard point to be in when you're facing federal prison. It's very easy to dwell on negativity. It's very easy to fall into a funk. It's very easy to find yourself zoning out, watching movies, playing video games, going out to the bar. Maybe you still own a business and you're just engulfing yourself in nothing but work, but you're not allowing yourself to process. You're not allowing yourself to take necessary steps as to what you can possibly do to impact your own outcome. If you don't pay attention to the stakeholders are in this game, and if you do not identify yourself as a stakeholder, you're doing yourself an injustice. You want to focus on what the judge's perspective is. You want to focus on what the prosecutor's perspective is. You want to focus on what your attorney's perspective is. You want to focus on what the PSR probation officer's perspective is. And if you're on pretrial probation, you also want to focus on the perspective of that probation officer. But the one thing that a lot of people do not put any focus on is themselves. What influence can you create? How can you make possible ripples that are going to flow through this lake that are going to have an effect at the end? The problem is sometimes you look at what needs to be done and you're like, oh my God, it sounds like so much work. How am I going to find the time to do this? I think if you take it serious enough and you realize the opportunity you have to create a positive outcome for yourself, if you really truly understand the aspect of that and believe that it will work, I think you will take the necessary steps to do what has to happen. Now, there's a big difference in hiring prison consultants. You've got some prison consultants that do absolutely nothing. They give you some basic information about RDAP. They'll even tell you to lie on your PSR. They'll tell you to go see doctors and get prescriptions for drugs that you don't need, or say you have issues that you don't really have, just in order to create some sort of a background. This isn't going to do you any good. Most of you that would be doing this would be doing it after your indictment. And again, you need to understand one of the qualifications for RDAP is your substance abuse needs to be explained during a 12-month period of time prior to your indictment, up until your indictment. So if you've been indicted and now some prison consultant's telling you to go get this drug and say you're doing this after the fact, isn't going to help you get into RDAP. Or they're charging you, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 to help you write some personal narratives and character reference letters. Now, of course, everybody's financial situation is different. So if you're somebody that spent, several hundreds of thousands of dollars on their legal defense, and a prison consultant's out there quoting you $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, you might think, okay, this sounds like a fair price. I just spent in excess of $100,000 to my defense team. So what's another 15 or 20 grand if it can help me shave some time off of my sentence? Well, no one's saying don't do it. If you feel comfortable with the prison consultant that you're going with, then by all means, spend that type of money. But I can tell you right now, as far as we can tell, and promoting ourselves, there's nobody that offers a more in-depth service than what we do for the price that we do it at. And our price will be going up. And just letting everybody know, our price will be going up over the next couple of months going into the new year, just for all of the additional services that we now offer. But even as of right now, our price point is $2,500. And even with the price increase, we're still going to be at a very affordable market price compared to what other competitors are charging, because their main focus is white collar individuals, targeting them, vetting them, knowing that they can afford an affordable fee, avoiding everybody else that can't afford that because it's who their market is. We market to everybody from somebody making minimum wage to somebody that's, a multi-million-dollar income. We have some high profile clients that obviously want to remain anonymous, and I understand why. And these reason why they are our clients is a lot of them have come from referrals from attorneys that have gotten to know us over the last couple of years and seen some of the work that we do. But the passion that we have in what we do speaks volumes. When you hear the stories and you read the emails from our clients, especially clients that have hired other prison consultants in the past, paid $10,000, $15,000, did not get the service that they needed, and on the phone with us, working with us after 3 or 4 weeks, in tears, saying, I can't believe that there's somebody like you guys that actually cares as much as you said you did prior to me giving you the money. And that's the thing is, prior to paying us, after you pay us, the level of service doesn't disappear. You're not going to get our voicemail. You're not going to get a bunch of emails. You're not going to be told to go watch a video that we've already done something on that. We spend hours and hours a week on the phone with our clients, taking calls, responding to text messages, responding to emails. And that's why our team is expanding. That's why right now it's myself, it's CJ, Jenny, Angela. We just brought in a new guy to help out with the back end of the website. So there's a lot of people, a lot of moving parts, and we're in a growing phase. And it's because of all of you making a great success out of something that I thought was going to be the worst thing in my entire life, going to prison. Going to prison for me ended up being the absolute best thing that ever could have happened to me. And I have a career out of it now, which is still blows my mind. But in addition to that, I always have my RDAP wristband on, as you guys know. I allow myself not to get complacent. The only way I can do that is by keeping it real with myself, keeping it 100. And when I hear stories from all of you about what you're going through, it brings me right back to the situation. We've got clients locally that we go meet with on a regular basis. We go out to dinner with them, and hearing their stories, seeing their frustration, watching how they're trying to deal with their everyday, day-to-day. They're still trying to go to work. They're still trying to pretend like they have some sort of a normal life. But that reality of the federal government has them under a federal indictment, and they know at some point this is all going to come to an end. So how do you balance that? How do you balance trying to maintain a normal social life, dealing with your kids, dealing with work, maintaining your bills, and then also dealing with the fact that you might be going to federal prison? Those two worlds constantly collide 24/7, and that battle with dealing with anxiety is why we've created our coaching program, where you get weekly coaching sessions with Jenny included in the price of your enrollment with us. So it's not like some inflated price that you're going to pay in addition. This is included with the prison consulting packages that we now have. So take advantage, pick up the phone, give us a call. If you're lost, if you're concerned, don't do what Jacob did. Even if Jacob just would have picked up the phone and called me, I could have given him some useful insight that may have made all of the difference in how he navigated through with his attorney. So no one's saying call up and hire us, but I am saying if you have questions, if you're not sure, if you're receiving conflicting information from your attorney, what's the harm in picking up and giving us a call? 509-434-4695 or rdapdan@gmail.com. Come visit us on our website, rdapdan.com. We have a free sentencing calculator on there that can help you pick the best possible location. Those links for all of for the sentencing calculator is also in the description of this video. So make sure you do yourself a favor, put yourself first, be the one doing the homework, be the one taking charge of your situation. And if you're sitting there staring at the screen going, I keep telling myself I'm going to pick up the phone, I'm talking to you right now, do yourself a favor, pick up the phone and get some free information. That's all I got for you guys. We have any questions in here?
We do.
What do we got? Oh, there's Shelly. Shelly's in the room.
Yeah, we have a question from Tamara.
What's up, Tamara?
Does the ineffective counsel work, or do you get increased penalty for being retried?
No. Well, the ineffective, you're not appealing your sentence. Most pleas, you sign a plea stating that you're not going to appeal your sentence. So you're appealing your ineffective. I have yet to see anybody that I've dealt with actually have a 2255 go through for ineffective counsel. Now, if you do get to have your case reopened and retried, they could resentence you, right? That's the whole idea, is to either have your case relooked at, get resentenced based on your guidelines, and you could very likely get a steeper sentence. So yes, Tamara, ultimately, if you have an appeal to go back in for resentencing under ineffective counsel, it could give you a steeper sentence. So there are risks associated to filing a 2255. Most of the people that we've seen in the past where it makes sense to file a 2255 is when somebody gets a boatload of time, 15, 20, 25 years. These people have nothing but time. Chances are they're not going to get a heavier sentence than what they already received. So why not go swing from the fence? Most 2255s are denied 99% of the time. Dan, from what you've heard from clients that are in the system, do you see conditions improving since your incarceration? Daniel, yes and no. I think it's based on somebody's perspective and based on somebody's current situation. If you have somebody that has severe medical needs in prison, they're probably going to tell you that the environment is horrible, the medical is horrible, everything about their experience is horrible because they have some serious conditions. Somebody going through prison in my situation that was relatively healthy, I never really had to go see medical for anything serious, so I didn't have to fall victim to the medical department in the prison system. I think it's a state of mind. If you realize prison is not supposed to be, look, we talk about Club Fed, we talk about how Camp Cupcake and you're going to a low, there's nothing to worry about. What we mean by that is, for the most part, you're not going to be any imminent danger. Your life isn't going to be at risk. However, it still could be kind of a grimy environment. It could be cold. It could be slightly dirty. The food could be pretty shitty. You're still in prison. Your expectations should be of that you're going to prison. Your expectations should not be of Club Fed thinking you're going to be eating steak and lobster and playing tennis. Even though we did get to play tennis, we had steak from time to time, but it wasn't the same caliber of what you would expect in the free world. Realistic expectations, I think, is what's important there. Inmates in the hurricane zone. Most prisons are built pretty sturdy. I imagine if there was an empty prison in a hurricane zone, they'd probably use it as a hurricane shelter. There's always flooding. There's always power outages. Coleman, Florida, where I was, we had our fair share of hurricanes browsing through there. Miami, it's got a federal prison there in Miami. I would imagine that these places aren't built of sticks. These are brick buildings that are built to keep people in and keep people out. So I would imagine their hurricane standards are pretty high. I miss any other questions?
No, that's it.
Other than that, if you guys got anything else you want to ask me, I'll give you about another 30 seconds here. Make sure, please, if you haven't done so, give me a thumbs up on this video. If you feel like this content was useful for you, give me a thumbs up and comment on this video. Go post a comment. Share this video on your Facebook, share it on Twitter, Instagram. Tomorrow, I know I don't have to ask you to do that because you share everything. Tomorrow is our what do we call you again tomorrow? We call you our research ninja. Tomorrow's our research ninja. She always sends me really cool links that we've actually turned a lot of those into videos.
One more question from Dan.
Dan, have many of your clients been able to return to self-supporting work after their release? Absolutely. Most people I see released from prison, whether they're my clients or they're just releasing from prison, if they have the desire to integrate back into society successful, they will succeed. Just realize there is additional hurdles as a convicted felon versus somebody that's never been in trouble. So don't compare yourself to somebody that's never been in trouble. If I've never been in trouble and I'm going out for job interviews, I might have a chance of 1 out of 3. If you're a convicted felon, maybe that changes your odds to 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20. You just have to be willing to put in the time and the effort. But most people that I've seen that are willing to put in the work into reintegrating into society and not making a ton of excuses and not using self-defeated thoughts like, no one's going to hire me, I'm a felon, why should I even try? If that's your mentality, you probably won't get a job. But if you've got the right mentality and you're willing to put on your game face, if you're willing to get dressed, if you're willing to do your homework and dive into whatever it is role with a company that you want to succeed with, do your homework on that company and go in there and show them something that they're not used to seeing. You know you have cards stacked against you, so you have to build yourself up that much better. That's really all that it takes, is it just takes dedication and will. All right, guys, that's all we got today. I'm Art Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, one day at a time, people helping people, community as method, and as always, I love every single one of you, and you guys have made this a great channel. Stay tuned for our podcast. It's coming very, very, very soon. Keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a little bit different. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I'm out of here. The rest of the prison consultants got nothing on us. Take care, guys.